Welcome to Star Watch Now, your front row seat to all the hottest gossip, drama, and breaking news from the world of entertainment. If it's trending, shocking, or star-studded, we're covering it. Stay tuned. You won't want to miss what's coming next.
What if I told you that, in the stillness of one summer night, an entire city became a living love letter? On August 5th, the birthday of Wang Yibo took a turn no one could have imagined. Streets shimmered, the skyline danced with color, and whispers spread like wildfire. Was this the work of none other than Xiao Zhan? Stay with us, because what happened next could change the way you see them forever.
You're watching Star Watch Now.
On the evening of August 5th, the city of Hunan began to transform in a way that felt almost dreamlike. What started as a few scattered hints, a banner spotted on a quiet side street, the faint glow of decorative lights in shop windows, soon evolved into something far greater. As night fell, the transformation deepened. The main avenues shimmered with soft green and gold, colors long associated with Wang Yibo, casting a warm, almost nostalgic glow over the streets. Along the riverbank, soft music drifted from unseen speakers, each melody chosen with care, each note carrying an unmistakable sense of intimacy. It was the kind of sound that made strangers slow their steps, that pulled them into a shared, unspoken story. In small cafes tucked between the alleys, owners quietly revealed that they had been given special playlists earlier that week. The envelopes had arrived without a return address, sealed with a delicate emblem of a single phoenix feather. Inside, each list contained songs that fans knew by heart, pieces from Yibo's earliest performances, tracks he had once mentioned in interviews as personal favorites, even rare recordings not often heard in public. Customers lingered longer than usual, some sipping coffee in silence, others smiling as familiar chords filled the air. As the hours passed, the details became harder to ignore. Bouquets of fresh roses appeared on public benches, tied with ribbons of deep crimson, their scent mingling with the evening breeze. Parks were adorned with intricate floral arrangements, not just roses but camellias, a flower whose meaning seemed too deliberate to be coincidence. The work was meticulous, arches perfectly balanced, pathways lined with lanterns that swayed gently in the wind. Passers-by stopped to take photos, but there was a quiet respect in the way they moved, as though they understood they were walking through a carefully constructed moment. By midnight, the city no longer looked like itself. It had become a living canvas of color, music, and memory, a place where every detail, no matter how small, seemed to carry a message. It was impossible to tell where the public celebration ended and the private sentiment began, and perhaps that was the point. To those who noticed, it felt as though someone had poured their heart into every street corner, leaving traces of a story too personal to explain, yet too beautiful to ignore. For those who paid attention, the signs were impossible to miss. While the city's transformation on August 5th could have been dismissed as an extraordinary fan-organized tribute, there was an elegance in the details that suggested a far more deliberate hand at work. The arrangements were too precise, the themes too personal, to be the result of coincidence. Somewhere behind the glowing streets and carefully chosen music, there seemed to be a single guiding vision. And to many, only one name fit. Xiao Zhan had been absent from public appearances for days, slipping quietly from the spotlight without explanation. In the days leading up to the celebration, there were unconfirmed reports of a discreet team moving through the city, booking venues, liaising with florists, securing sound and lighting equipment in private meetings far from curious eyes. A florist in the city center spoke of an unusually large order, not only for roses but for camellias, lilies, and rare seasonal blooms, all delivered to multiple locations across Hunan. Each order was paid for in cash, signed only with a handwritten note, arranged them as though they were meant for a stage. At a nearby park, residents noticed workers arriving after dark to install floral arches, lanterns, and silk drapes. There were no uniforms, no identifying marks, but their movements were coordinated with a quiet professionalism, as if they were following a single unseen conductor's instructions. One of the most striking details came from a drone operator who claimed they had been hired weeks earlier by an anonymous client to create a light show featuring a phoenix rising alongside a racing motorcycle. To fans of Wang Yibo and Xiao Zhan, these symbols were unmistakable, icons that had followed their shared history for years. The scale of such an installation required not just funding, but foresight, planning, and a personal connection deep enough to understand the weight these symbols carried. Even the music that filled the city seemed to bear this hidden touch. Certain songs appeared in a particular sequence, mirroring moments from Wang Yibo's career and life. It was as if someone had threaded his memories into the city's heartbeat, allowing the past and present to blend seamlessly in the air. By the time the night reached its height, the idea of a random celebration seemed less and less believable. Instead, it felt like the work of someone who knew exactly what each detail meant, and who intended for every note, every color, every flower to speak without ever revealing their own voice. As the clock edged closer to midnight, an almost tangible stillness settled over the city. The usual hum of traffic faded, conversations grew quieter, and it felt as though Hunan itself was holding its breath. Then, with no warning, the giant screens scattered across the city's busiest squares flickered to life. At first, the images were familiar, scenes from Wang Yibo's journey, moments fans had cherished for years. There were clips of his earliest performances, raw and unpolished yet brimming with potential, followed by flashes of his breakthrough roles, stage triumphs, and quiet moments captured between the noise of fame. The editing was careful, almost reverent, each frame stitched together with a tenderness that suggested the hand of someone who knew the weight of each memory. The crowd began to gather, drawn in by the unfolding story. Strangers stood shoulder to shoulder, their faces lit by the glow of the screens, watching as the years of Yibo's life played out against the midnight sky. Then, halfway through, the atmosphere shifted. The montage faded to black, replaced by a softer, warmer light. And there he was, Xiao Zhan. No dramatic entrance, no theatrical effects, just a quiet presence against a backdrop of stars. His expression was calm, but his eyes carried something unspoken, as though this message had been waiting for years. When he spoke, his voice was steady yet edged with emotion.
Happy birthday, my old friend.
May the road ahead be brighter than the stars tonight, and may you always know you were never alone. It was a simple sentiment, but in that moment, it resonated like a confession. For a heartbeat, the entire square seemed suspended in silence. Then came the reaction, gasps, murmurs, and the sound of people trying to capture the moment on their phones while still holding on to the feeling it stirred. In that brief exchange, no names were explained, no history retold, yet everything seemed understood. It was more than a birthday greeting. It was a bridge, a subtle mending of something that had been left unsaid for too long. As the video faded and the city lights swelled once more, the sense lingered that those watching had witnessed not just a public gesture, but a private truth momentarily shared with the world. It was the kind of moment that would be remembered long after the screens went dark. But there was more. Hours later, a small boat drifted along the Xiang River carrying a glowing lantern shaped like a motorcycle. Eyewitnesses claimed a tall figure in a black cap was on board, releasing it into the water before disappearing into the night. Theories exploded. Was this Xiao Zhan's final personal touch? Or a poetic way of saying, I was here?
The world respond.
Social media lit up across time zones. Hashtags #MidnightGift, #XiaoZhanIbo, and #CityOfLight trended in over 20 countries. Fan artists reimagined the scene as a modern fairy tale, while music fans began compiling the mystery playlist from cafe recordings. Even journalists, usually cautious about celebrity rumors, called it a cultural moment that transcended entertainment. More than a birthday. For those who have followed their journey since the Untamed, this night was more than just a celebration. It felt like a bridge rebuilt, a message wrapped in light and music, friendship, gratitude, and perhaps the start of something new. And whether or not Xiao Zhan ever confirms it, the emotional echo of that night will live on. If moments like these remind you that true connections never really fade, then you belong here with us at Star Watch now.
Étoile en cercle.
Thank you for watching, and if you haven't yet, hit that subscribe button, turn on notifications, and join us as we uncover more untold stories from the world of stars. Your next favorite moment might be just one video away.